If you think EVs will take over and break the oil industry, just look at the oil crisis of the 1970s. Basically, Egypt and Syria attacked Israel in what became known as the Yom Kippur War of 1973. The U.S. sided with Israel and supplied arms. This, of course, angered the Arab delegation of OPEC, which responded with an embargo of oil sales into the U.S., Canada, UK, Japan, and the Netherlands. Long story short, this created a shortage in supply and subsequently a steep rise in gasoline prices. Sound a wee bit familiar to what we're seeing today? Now, I'll tell you what'll happen to oil companies after the current war and after the combustion engine ban when the EVs have taken over. Also, wait till the end when I tell you how you can lose money when you charge your EV to 100%. The 1973 embargo revealed the power of OPEC countries, since they were able to influence powerful countries like the US and the UK by manipulating oil supplies. And then there was the Iranian Revolution of 1979. Basically, there were mass protests and strikes in Iran. The Shah was exiled, and the world saw the new Islamic Republic of Iran. Remember the name Ayatollah Khomeini all over the news? During the revolution, workers of the oil sector went on strike. This grounded oil production to a halt. We're talking a loss of 2.5 million barrels a day. Lower production caused prices to rise. And again, the world saw a hole in production and a rise in gasoline prices. Today we're seeing a similar pattern of volatility. The only difference is that this time it's due to the conflict in Eastern Europe. And this time we're facing the threat of nuclear holocaust. The oil industry and the gasoline car industry are seeing their most vulnerable moment in history. This is the beginning of their demise. So what's the fate of the oil companies? Oil companies are aware of the upcoming combustion engine ban, and it will put a major dent in their business, unless they find a new business model and fast. That's why oil companies have come up with an ingenious plan. They're investing in the EV industry. As the saying goes, if you can't beat them, join them. The only way they can survive is by accepting the shift to electrification and supporting it, not fighting against it. Actually, this is their ticket out. Just take a look at oil companies like Shell and BP. Since the last 5 years, Shell has acquired a large range of charging startups. Some of these include New Motion in Europe, Lamppost charging provider Ubitricity, and Greenlots here in the US. And Shell even formed a partnership with China's BYD. Globally, they aim to operate 500,000 chargers by 2025, which, mind you, is just 3 years away. Shell is also partnering with ABB to use its charging solutions, including the Terra 360. The Terra 360 is actually the fastest all-in-one electric car charger in the world. Apparently, Shell and ABB have been working together on the rollout of public charging infrastructure since 2019. The latest agreement is what takes that collaboration to the next level. So you can see Shell has been actively strategizing their next big gig. And let's not forget BP. They've also signed several deals. One such deal is with the UK provider ChargeMaster and US fleet charging company Amply Power. This is part of a joint venture with Didi in China and software provider Digital Charging Solutions. BP expects to globally install 70,000 chargers by 2030. BP has also partnered with Volkswagen to supply Europe with public charging stations for EVs. This new project is expected to add 8,000 fast charging spots across Europe by 2024. The two companies celebrated the launch of their strategic partnership with the unveiling of the first public fast charger in Dusseldorf, Germany. And over the next 24 months, they plan to deploy over 4,000 charge points in Germany and the UK. These points will be using Volkswagen's FlexPole 150 kilowatt charging units. These units have an integrated battery storage system, 2 charge points, and can even connect directly to a low voltage grid. All this removes the need to a dedicated substation and costly construction work. But interestingly enough, BP's commitment to green has been a rocky road to say the least. Until 2020, the company vocally lobbied against eco-friendly policies here in the US. Some allege they've secretly continue this now, despite their pledge to be carbon neutral by 2050. Climate scientists have been clear that if we want to slow the pace of global warming and reduce global emissions, a crucial step is moving the transportation system from fossil fuels to one that's powered by electricity. But climate isn't the only thing this will impact. Did you know that doing this might actually neutralize other negative aspects of the petroleum industry? Think things like armed conflicts and volatile prices. Because oil has been so lucrative, oil production is a well-known source of conflict. Ever heard of the word petrostate? That's a term for a country with tons of oil and natural gas deposits and is heavily dependent on exporting it. Petrostates often have a lot of power since other nations depend on their supply. Electric power as a transportation fuel, on the other hand, can be produced pretty much anywhere and in many sustainable ways. This removes the geopolitical leverage that so many oil producers are currently enjoying. Interestingly, oil companies are not only investing in EV charging solutions, they're even investing in hydrogen. Companies like Shell, BP, Exxon, Saudi Aramco, and Repsol, as well as dozens of smaller independent producers and engineering groups, announced big plans to build a greener, cleaner hydrogen business. Since the EV industry includes hydrogen fuel cells, who knows what these oil-turned hydrogen companies can do in the future. But let's talk more about infrastructure. Right now, some estimate the U.S. has between 111,000 and 150,000 gas stations across the country. Now, a typical gas station has around 8, 10, 12, or 16 individual pumps. So that means here in the U.S. there's somewhere between 1 to 2 million individual gas pumps. Compare that to the number of EV ports. Last year, there were around 108,000 public EV charging ports in the U.S. Can you see the huge difference? Compared to the 100,000 plus EV charging ports, there are 2 million EVs currently registered in the U.S. And it's not just the dismally low number of ports available. Don't forget the time factor. The average time to pump gas is 2 minutes, but charging an EV can take 30 minutes or more. So it's not just that there aren't enough public charging ports, but now consider if you're lucky enough to locate one, just hope it's not occupied for the next half an hour or maybe half a day. But here's the thing. Analysts are projecting that around 35 million EVs will be cruising the roads by 2030. That means in the U.S. we'll need to install about 478 charging ports every day for the next 8 years if you want an infrastructure that can support this volume. But there's no possible way we'll be able to accomplish that by 2030. Right now, about 80% or more of EV owners charge at home. This is a default option right now. But in general, 30% of Americans don't even have access to home chargers in the first place. And think about how many people live in apartments, for example. But it's not just a theoretical projection that's increasing the push for more EV charging stations. There's a push on the corporate side, too. President Biden's $1 trillion infrastructure package includes a massive $7.5 billion dedicated towards building a nationwide network of 500,000 EV charging stations by 2030. If this goal is achieved, EV charging ports will greatly surpass the number of gas stations. The Biden administration is actually targeting half of all new car sales in the U.S. to be electric by less than 10 years. But some say to reach this goal, we'll need more than 500,000 stations. Some even estimate we'll need at least 1 million fast charging stations. So how easy is it to make EV charging stations anyway? Construction could take anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, and its cost depends on the type of charger. A level 2 charger costs anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 to install. DC fast chargers start at $125,000, which is crazy expensive. But that's the cheaper end of the stick, because actually it can go all the way up to $300,000. But believe it or not, the biggest challenge to installing charging station actually isn't the cost. Besides paying for the station, you also have to get approvals from local officials and municipalities. And this is a complicated process that can last weeks or even months. And then there's actually connecting to the grid, which comes with its own set of hiccups. Did you know that even 7-Eleven has promised to install 500 DCFC charging ports by the end of the year? Currently, they only have 22 charging stations at 14 stores across 4 states. EOS Links is another company getting in on the EV charging station game. EOS Links is a provider of solar-supported stations for EV chargers. They provide level 2 chargers and fast chargers with varied capacities, and they use the universal J1772 charging standard system. Earlier this year, they announced a collaboration with Choice Hotels International. Not only is Choice one of the largest hotel chains in the entire world, but they also have more than 6,000 U.S. franchised hotels. Hotels like Econo Lodge and Quality Inn. With this collaboration, they plan to install EOS charging stations at specific hotel properties. The first set of EOS charge stations will go to hotels in Nashville, Atlanta, and Chattanooga. Even EVgo has been partnering with major retailers like Kroger, Safeway, Albertsons, and Whole Foods to install charging stations in their grocery parking lots. Interestingly, back in 2020, EVgo also teamed up with GM to build 2,700 new fast stations over the next 5 years. Let's get back to EV charging. Realistically, how often do you have to charge your EV? Based on your EV's range and how much you drive it, a typical EV driver may be plugging it in every 3 days or so. Compare that to an average driver of a combustion engine car, which pumps gasoline once a week. But let's say you're the type to worry about your battery depleting so much that you choose to plug it in every night. Is that a good idea? Short answer is no. And actually, it can be very damaging to our EV in the long run. In most cases, it isn't necessary. Doing so can even shorten the lifespan of your EV battery pack. Every time you charge your battery, even just adding 5%, it puts stress on the battery. Your best bet is to follow your battery charging recommendations in the car's user manual. The U.S. Department of Transportation's Federal Highway Administration found that an average driver logs a bit more than 14,000 miles per year. That's about 275 miles a week. The longest driving range EVs come close to that or even exceed it on a single charge. Even EVs with shorter battery ranges can cover a good portion of the week if you drive the typical 39 miles per day. Most EV manufacturers recommend you stick to keeping your battery charged between 20 to 80%. In other words, don't charge your EV to 100%. And don't drive your EV all the way till it gets fully decharged. That's because extremely high and extremely low state of charge creates stress on batteries, reduces its charge holding ability over time, and eventually shortens its lifespan. Many EVs come with specialized battery management systems to prevent charging and discharging to these extremes. Some are more protective, others are less. But either way, most EV chargers can be set to shut off once the battery reaches a designated state of charge. Now, it's true, sometimes you might want to need to charge up your battery to get maximum range. That's okay. But just avoid charging it to the max every night and you'll be set. It's not like your smartphone where you charge it to the max overnight. But now you tell me, what do you think will happen to oil companies? Do you think we'll succeed in building the needed EV infrastructure before 2030? And when do you think the number of EVs will surpass gasoline-powered vehicles? Please share your thoughts by commenting below. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for your support.